Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Breaking news tonight in East LA. Look at this. LA County Sheriff deputies in a pursuit.
Desmond Shaw live overhead in SkyCal to tell us more now. Desmond?
Susie and Chauncey, it's a pursuit involving CHP of an armed and dangerous known felon. So this is actually a pursuit that's been going on for quite some time, we understand, but we've had a lot of issues with low clouds and the Dodger TFR. So we are eastbound on the 60 now as we make our way out of Boyle Heights into the East Los Angeles area. Actually, we're past the 710 now, so we are in East LA. It's this red Lexus right here. We know that there had been at least 2 people in the vehicle at one time, but a female passenger was dropped off earlier and the suspect continued. It's not clear if there's anyone else in the car still besides the driver. We've had some pretty high speeds at times, up to 100 miles an hour. We first heard about this kind of, I believe, down in the Torrance area. So we've already covered a lot of area. We were in South LA for a while, then it went up to the 10, was kind of dancing around downtown LA for a while, and it came out through from under the clouds. Good for us to bring this to you here. Eastbound on the 60 now at 120 miles an hour. Definitely a dangerous one with CHP in pursuit. Chauncey and Susie and Mike.
I want to bring in Mike Rogers from the desk. Mike, you said this is someone who has committed a felony, but we don't know what that felony is, right?
Right. So what the sheriff's calls it is it's a 1029 Frank David suspect. The Frank stands for felony. The David stands for a dangerous and armed suspect. So that's what we know. The sheriff's department tells us this is not their agency that initially investigated this. This plate was put into a system. Deputies ran the plate, and it came back as a wanted felony, armed and dangerous suspect. So the watch commander at Lomita Station, who started this, or not he specifically, but the Lomita sheriff's deputies are the ones that started us. They tell us that they don't know what that original felony was, and I'm actually getting an update from Orlando right now telling me that they're going to go back up a little bit on this and just call it a felony suspect, not necessarily armed and dangerous, but still a felony suspect. The watch commander at Lomita told us that they didn't know, the agency that wanted this person didn't put in what that felony was, just that this was a felony suspect. So the sheriffs went in and out of tracking mode or surveillance mode that the sheriffs call it. Then CHP got involved on the 110 freeway. Then he got off the freeway, back on the freeway, and as Des mentioned, we've been dealing with fog and other kind of challenges in this, but now we're on the southbound 5 freeway. But it's been going on for quite some time, and again, we don't know what that initial felony was, and the watch commander at Lomita Station couldn't even tell us the original agency that wants this guy. So we're still trying to learn some of those details, but all they know is a felony suspect.
Mike, we know this started in Torrance, according to Desmond. Do we know, did they try to, once that plate came back to this wanted suspect, did they try to pull this person over?
Yeah, they did what's called Code 9, which is they go into a pre-pursuit tactics, really, and they get a bunch of units with them. They try to get the helicopter with them. Then they tried to make the stop, and it didn't work. The guy didn't stop, and he took off. So the sheriffs, even though obviously we have to fly much higher than the sheriff's helicopters for safety reasons, the sheriffs have been lucky enough that he hasn't gone so far west that they've been able to be overhead the entire time. And the sheriff's helicopter has been working with the California Highway Patrol to get them involved. Now CHP is involved, and thankfully now we are going well away from the clouds as we go eastbound here on the 60 freeway.
Yeah, not a whole lot of traffic on the freeway. Thank goodness for that, too, on the 5 southbound here, on the 60 eastbound, I'm sorry. Let's go back upstairs to Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal. Another close call there, and this person is driving really fast, Desmond.
Absolute maniac here, Susie, Chauncey, and Mike. I mean, we just saw 135 miles an hour at one point, even onto the center divider there. Just insanely dangerous, zigging and zagging all over the place. This is a fairly capable vehicle. I believe this is a Lexus IS, one of the sportier Lexuses. This is probably going to have a 6-cylinder engine, but definitely capable, pretty decent at handling here, and just very, very scary speeds for everyone around. I mean, getting really, really close to other people's bumpers and cutting them off, not signaling. And there was a blue van back there that was kind of drifting out of its lane that nearly clipped this guy as well. I mean, you crash it at speeds like this, and it is not going to end well for anyone in the immediate vicinity. As we make our way towards the 605, kind of staying towards the right side of the freeway, really just looking for any kind of opening in the traffic that they can use to get by right now, but not afraid to get into that center divider if need be to put some more distance. You see the spotlight there from the helicopter overhead. I don't know that the ground units are really even keeping up with this guy, but just squeezing between cars right now as we're nearly at the 605 freeway, and yeah, we're crossing it right now, so looks like the suspect is going to continue here on the eastbound 60 as we fly through the San Gabriel Valley now towards the city of Industry.
And Desmond, earlier you talked about there were 2 people inside. One woman was dropped off. What were the circumstances of how that unfolded, and do police believe now that it's only the driver inside of this car?
Yeah, you know, we had just heard briefly that the female suspect had been dropped off. There must have been some distance between the suspect and the authorities on that one. Didn't hear if they were able to get her into custody or where exactly they dropped her. I believe that was somewhere in South LA where they dropped off the suspect. But, you know, a lot of times you have people that, you know, get involved in this and they have no idea what's going on or don't want to be involved. So it may have been a situation like that. I would assume, though, that the authorities definitely still want to talk to her, see if they can get any kind of information on her. But now that she is out of the picture, and, you know, frankly, good for her, because who wants to be in this vehicle with this person driving like a total lunatic like this? Traffic is kind of light, but I mean, you've got this guy going almost double the speed limit at points now as we're in the carpool lane here. So we'll see how far they're going to go and how far CHP wants to take this, but they seem definitely pretty determined to be involved in this, even though they were not the agency that began it. It looks like they want to be the agency to bring this to an end. But really, really crazy driving here as we are now in industry well east of the 605. Next we'll be headed towards the Puente Hills area and the city of Industry, and then Diamond Bar and the 6057 freeway.
You know, obviously very difficult to do. I mean, obviously the CHP wants to bring this to an end, as Desmond was talking about, but very difficult to do with the stopping tactics, very limited at this point because of the speed and because of the fact that we are on the freeway. When we talk about different stopping methods, we talk about the pit maneuver. We can talk about spike strips. Spike strips, very difficult to do unless you have some sort of pattern, you know, specific lane that this person is traveling in.
Especially on a freeway.
Exactly, on the freeway. So very difficult to pull those out and get ahead of this person, first of all. And then if we try to pit maneuver, there's no way at this rate of speed that they're going to do this, right, Mike?
Yeah, and, you know, pit maneuver definitely not at this speed. Cars around. You know, if he slows down or runs out of gas, we've seen that before. But I'm also very curious, just kind of, you know, CHP took this over from the sheriffs, who told them, because we've talked to CHP as well. So this is a CHP pursuit right now, but CHP also only knows that this person is wanted for a felony. I would imagine it makes maybe CHP a little bit nervous that they don't know what that exact felony is, right? Because you have the watch commanders or sergeants that like to make decisions based on the severity of the crime, right? It's all about risk versus reward. The sheriff's department, even though it was a felony, wow, so fast, almost 120 miles an hour in and out of these lanes. But the sheriff's department made a decision to go into surveillance mode. They didn't know what the felony was, but they didn't want to chase this guy as hard. CHP initially didn't want it when it was on surface streets, but then they had a unit in the area that got behind it and took it. CHP doesn't generally like to do it on surface streets if they don't have to. But all they know is that this person is wanted for some type of felony. I imagine somewhere behind the scenes, they're all trying to figure out what the felony is and, you know, who's the agency that put this into the system that makes them want this person. But as we approach, gosh, 130 miles an hour, our speedometer says. Des, is that, I mean, that's fast.
Yeah, they're really, really fast, even for a vehicle like this. I mean, if you don't have the right kind of brakes on a car like this and something comes up on you, you've got to slam on the brakes. You're not going to be able to stop this car fast enough. That is, you know, really one of the biggest concerns with these kind of speeds is you just don't have time to react to anything. Even on the right-hand shoulder now, getting around that big rig right there just must be so nerve-wracking for all these people that are involved in this. And it's like, I'm really curious what this person is wanted for, that they are this desperate to get away from the authorities, you know, just driving like this. Really, really insane driving. So I think that's probably of the highest speeds that we've seen so far, as we are really just flying like a missile towards the 6057 interchange. Traffic's going to be pretty light up here, and I don't think Caltrans is going to be out there on the roadways yet. They don't usually start their projects until maybe the 10 or 11 o'clock hour, so some pretty wide open conditions. We're well past evening rush hour. Pretty easy going for this suspect, but when you're driving this fast, and there's another CHP unit right there that he just passed up, so we'll see if they get involved. But the helicopter doing a great job of staying on this one from the air. CHP is lighting them up right now as well, and we'll see if they're able to stay engaged on the ground, because they've been having a lot of trouble staying behind this person since we were able to get this one from the 6057 another just so close here, getting within just a couple of inches and going twice as fast as a lot of these vehicles. Very, very nerve-wracking driving for sure.
It is. And Des, talk about zooming in and out of traffic. Even just here in the past 5 minutes, there have been several close calls. And when you talk about a suspect running from police like this in this pursuit, and a felony suspect we're talking about, though we don't know what specifically this suspect is wanted for. But Mike, you can probably attest to this. It does make police kind of have that heightened sense of safety, especially at these high rates of speed.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, again, this was not a, there's a lot of unknowns for these officers at this point. This was not a crime that any of these guys witnessed, not even the original agency that started chasing it. It was not an alleged crime that they witnessed or have details on, right? So there's a lot of unknowns. If the car is not stolen, which we've not heard that it is, and they were able to run a plate, then they'll hopefully at least know who the registered owner is, which may give them a clue as to who the driver is. Obviously, the driver is not always the registered owner, but at least they'll have some, you know, information to go off of here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns for law enforcement if they don't know what the exact felony is. And again, they may have started to figure that out behind the scenes by being able to run the plate, but certainly to us, both the California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says that they don't know what that felony is yet. So hopefully they're figuring that out, and hopefully they'll be able to make kind of a plan based on that information. But certainly, I think, Chauncey, it makes them nervous to not have all the information.
Sure. And, you know, with initial reports saying that there's possibility that they could be armed and dangerous, we don't know if that's the case right now, but if that were to be the case.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, the watch commander that we talked to kind of waffled a little bit back and forth on that. We had initially heard the Frank David call, and then they kind of walked that back a little bit. So it just may not be terribly clear exactly if there was a weapon used in this alleged crime or if they've got one on them now, but it's certainly something that they're going to be thinking about.
Okay, looks like they're exiting somewhere, Desmond, maybe an interchange?
Yeah, let's see where we're headed here. If we're headed to the southbound 57, I believe that's where we are. Yeah, so, I mean, look at how quickly we made it all the way out here now, not too far away from Orange County. Southbound 57, and now we will be headed into Orange County if we stay on this freeway just a few more miles, as you see the sheriff's deputies' helicopter that's been lending their spotlight on this. We'll see if CHP's helicopter comes and joins this one. They would be coming out of Fullerton, so if they are launching, if they're able to launch, then they would get here pretty quickly. So I was talking about Caltrans, and actually you do see some cones there on the carpool lane. It looks like they are setting up for a project here, so that's kind of another element of danger. You've got highway workers out here, and you could definitely have, you know, traffic slowing down quite a bit, as it should be when you get into a cone zone. So we'll see how the suspect reacts to this, and it looks like it might just be the carpool lane that's blocked, so that may keep traffic in pretty free flow conditions. But now we're making our way towards Orange County, so going into a totally different county, have to get another agency involved in this most likely, and just waiting to see if CHP's helicopter will be getting involved in this as well. But and how much gas is in the tank when you're driving 130 miles an hour? That's another big factor in all this.
And real quick, CHP's fixed wing is actually coming up out of Fullerton.
Okay. And that's really
their helicopter's not, but their fixed wing just lifted out of Fullerton. And, you know, we'll be, I mean, the way we're going, they're going to be over this in just a couple of seconds. But, yeah, and I don't, you know, Des may know better than I, but I don't know if they're going to use the fixed wing because of the cloud layer. The fixed wing can get a little bit higher, has some better equipment to maybe see through some of the clouds and things like that. That was one of our concerns. You know, Des and I were talking before we were able to get overhead, is that if this guy kept going 10 west, he was going to lose the sheriff's helicopter because the ceiling was, I think Des said, like 400 or 500 feet over there. So I don't know if CHP is going to use the fixed wing to give them a better kind of advantage in the weather, but that is on its way from Fullerton.
Desmond, you were talking about a ground unit there just a moment ago lighting up this car. Is that ground unit still visible to you, or are they way back?
I think they're way back there. Here, we'll just zoom out and show you. And this is still mainly being followed from the air on this one. The authorities just have not had the opportunity to keep up with this person. They don't want to be doing, as you see the Caltrans there. So there was the cone truck there setting up the cone pattern. So now we're past the work zone. But they have not been able to keep up with this person. They're not going to be wanting to, you know, drive 120 on the shoulder to try to catch up with this person. They're going to just be content to follow this from the air and catch up when it becomes safe for them to do so. The good news here for the fixed wing is that there really are no clouds here in Orange County. The clouds are more of an issue on the LA basin right now. I'm looking out over the Fullerton area right now, and we've got some pretty good skies. So good conditions for the fixed wing as well. They will definitely be higher. We know that they have the infrared detection on board, the infrared cameras. that can help them, especially if the suspect gets out and runs. So we're probably going to have to keep this helicopter engaged, though, at the lower altitude to really kind of keep eyes on this person. So should probably be having the helicopter and the fixed wing on this, but still not seeing CHP behind this on the ground. As I widen way out there, it's really just the helicopter and soon to be the fixed wing. So we'll see what the strategy is going to be on this. And I mean, we've covered a lot of distance now. Torrance up to downtown, west on the 10, then east all the way through the San Gabriel Valley, and now into solidly Orange County and the city of Fullerton. Actually Brea right now, southbound on the 57.
And Desmond, has that been the case since we've since we got over this chase? Because since we've been on, I haven't seen any officers close. They've been quite a ways away. And then when you think about the incident of the woman being able to get out of the car, you've got to think that no officers were close by. And where is that woman, or what happened with her in all of this?
Yeah, and that may have also been when he dropped off the suspect. That may have been when they were kind of handing this off, because there was that lull between sheriff's deputies and CHP, where CHP was coming to get involved on the 110, but there was that point where there was no one behind this except someone on the ground. So the airship obviously saw that happen and was probably calling out to authorities to go and meet that woman, the one who got out of the vehicle. But we hadn't heard if they made contact with her or arrested her or questioned her, or if she got away. But that's kind of one of the problems when you have this kind of on again, off again, and you have a ton of distance as far as ground units, no one directly behind this person. The fixed wing, my pilot Dylan now telling me that the fixed wing is overhead, so we now have 2 sets of eyes from the sky, well, 3 including us, over the suspect here. Southbound on the 57, we're going to hit another snag, though, if they continue south of the 91, because then we're getting into the other protected airspace area. That's the Disneyland airspace that we will have to go around. So we'll see what happens when we get to the 91, but that may complicate things for us a little bit between the 91 and the Orange Crush. But headed deeper into Orange County here at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, we're just right next to Cal State Fullerton there on your right side. As Desmond was talking about the CHP fixed wing now overhead, that coming from Fullerton Airport, which is just along Commonwealth Avenue there, really close to where we were. So they got above right away, and we have 2 aircraft over this chopper right now, but no ground units to speak of as far as we can see. But believe us, when the CHP is communicating, they are also communicating with their ground units. Looks like they are exiting right now, Desmond?
I think they're getting on the 91 right here, maybe 91 west. Yeah, so a little last second change up there by the suspect. Very common pursuit tactic. But this will be good for us anyway to be able to bring this to you. Right, was right as we were going to get into that protected Disneyland space. Now we are westbound 91 through Fullerton and now towards the 5 freeway.
If we keep taking this, it'll end back in Torrance. So I wonder if they just want to go back to where they all started from. Yeah. It's curious. We often see that, but they made one huge circle in Southern California tonight.
Especially going this fast, Susie. You're talking about starting in Torrance and then even making their way to South LA and even going through downtown and then, zipping and zooming in and out of traffic here on the 60 in East LA. And now, as you pointed out, headed back towards the Torrance area, sort of a big, fast circle there.
Yeah, no kidding. I was talking about when the CHP has their aircraft overhead, they have their eyes, of course, from the air watching this person driving this fast, but they're also in contact with various ground units that might be ahead of this chase, a different division of the CHP in Orange County, and also they're getting in touch with other agencies just in case this person could possibly exit and be on Surface Street. So lots of communication going on with the CHP right now, but obviously we don't see any ground units. So, I think a lot of people wonder, why aren't they chasing this person? Well, at speeds like this, no way, Mike.
Right, yeah, and they are. I am listening to it. Since we've come into Orange County, they're trying to get Santa Ana units into place. I hear them trying to kind of coordinate that. But, the way the 91 runs is we're not going to be in Orange County for very long, right? We're going to come right back into LA County where this kind of started. I should also point out that the CHP fixed wing is above, but the LA County Sheriff's helicopter is still there. So if this comes back into LA County, then the sheriff's helicopter can certainly stay with it. But yeah, we'll see if any of the Santa Ana units are going to get in place, or if they're going to kind of sit tight and wait and let Santa Fe Springs get back involved when it comes back into LA County, or how they're going to handle that.
And Mike, earlier we talked about how these plates on the car came back as a wanted suspect, felony suspect. Do we know how that happened? Were they just in the area, or was the plates, were they read by a plate reader? How did they start to get on this person's track? Yeah,
we don't know that right now. We just know that the deputies at Lomita Station ran the plate. And unclear why, if it was an ALP, automatic license plate reader, or if they were just doing patrol checks and ran it. Gotcha. But something about that plate popped, and they tried to pull it over, and that didn't work.
Yeah, so it's unclear if there are multiple people inside this car. Desmond says that he did have eyes on at least one female passenger exiting the vehicle during this chase at some point, and she was dropped off somewhere. So we do know at least one person obviously is driving this car, but other passengers, unclear right now. Do they have multiple passengers in the back? We have no idea. Is this person armed and dangerous? There was an initial report that this person could be, but the Lomita Sheriff Station has since backed up from that statement, so it's unclear right now. So lots of unknowns, and that's what makes this so dangerous for authorities, because they don't have a lot of answers. And question marks could be very dangerous because of the fact that they don't have that information when they want to stop this person, obviously. If they are possibly armed and dangerous, there's no way they're going to try a pit maneuver, because if they're armed and dangerous, they could shoot at their officers, and that's dangerous. So, it's unclear what they're going to do to stop this person, but we do know we have eyes from the CHP, and as Meg mentioned, the LA County Sheriff's Department chopper still overhead as we are deep now into Orange County and headed back up to LA County in Buena Park.
Yeah. And Susie, a lot of the chases that we've covered here in the past few months, we've seen these suspects, go very, very fast, sure, at some points slowing down and even just stopping and then continuing on.
And taunting officers, right. Sure.
This suspect has just been fast the entire pursuit.
And it just makes you wonder, as Desmond referred to, how much gas does this person have? Right. How much gas did they start with before this even began? It's really curious. Let's go back upstairs now to Desmond Shaw, live in SkyCal. We are driving fast once again on the 91 westbound, headed back up to LA County now, Desmond.
Yep, we are almost back in LA County now at this point, and on top of all of this driving, this is probably one of the highest average speed pursuits I've seen in a long time. We've been pretty consistently above 100 miles an hour just about the entire time, except when they've had to brake. Up to 137, I believe our speedometer said at one point. But on top of all that, the suspect driving without their lights on. So the only real, illumination of this vehicle is coming from that spotlight overhead from the helicopter there, LA County Sheriff's deputies. So they're probably really going to need to stay overhead on this one. The fixed wing aircraft above does not have a spotlight on it, obviously, and they're flying at a considerably higher altitude. And as we get back west, we'll see if that cloud layer is going to play any kind of a factor. If there are any kind of clouds at all, it's almost certainly going to hamper the fixed wing aircraft up there. So that's going to make the helicopter that much more important. We know that the clouds were not too low along the 110 because the sheriff's helicopter had been with this one for quite some time. The really, really low clouds were up around South LA and then west through the mid-city area, but no lights on, over 100 miles an hour. Of course, we've got that super dark pursuit tint on top of this Lexus IS as well. And just look at how dark it is out there if they don't have the spotlight on there. And you've got a vehicle going 100 miles an hour, and you're signaling for a lane change, and you can't see this person coming up behind you, and this ends very, very badly. So just so dangerous all the way around. Just another element to all of this, with the lights being off for a pretty big chunk of this pursuit, as we are basically back into LA County now at the Bloomfield exit. That's very close to the county line. So we'll be back at the 605 will be the next juncture, and then the 710. And again, we'll just have to see how the weather is going to play into all this if this suspect continues. But we've covered, gosh, it must be well over 100 miles now at this point. So if you're going 100 miles an hour and you have less than a half a tank of gas, definitely wondering how much longer this the suspect can keep it up. Hopefully not much longer.
All right, and you talked about the weather. Desmond, we want to bring in Danny Roberti now. And Danny, I know you're watching this and tracking the weather as well. I know last night and tonight, the fog was a major problem.
Yeah, you know what? And that's what we're already starting to see. That fog is taking over. Not in Orange County. Things are clear there. I'm taking a look at our visibility right now, though. And we've got visibility down to 8-9 miles per hour, making his way back into LA County. And then into downtown Los Angeles, we're down to about 5 miles right now. We're not dealing with the dense fog advisories, but still, when we're dealing with this kind of fog, this is going to make things a little bit difficult, not just up in the air, but definitely down there on the roads, especially as these officers are following behind. And this is going to make things a little bit more dangerous for the other people that are driving around. So visibility is going down as he is making his way into LA County. I see it through Compton, Bellflower, Lakewood right now. Not like yesterday, though.
Okay.
All right, let's go back upstairs to Desmond Shaw, live in SkyCal. Desmond, you are, let's see, in the Norwalk area now.
Yep, still westbound on the 91. We'll be at the 605 shortly. My pilot, Dylan, was hearing some chatter between the aircraft up here and that fixed-wing air. The airplane there from CHP is already talking about potential clouds up ahead and how that may be an issue, and they may have to break off of this pretty soon. Sheriffs are lending their helicopter, and they're actually going to be swapping out ships right now. The other ship, the one that's been on this one with the spotlight you see, may be getting low on fuel. So very common practice that they're probably going to be swapping them out right now. And we'll see how far they're able to take this. Like I said earlier in the pursuit, it started in the Torrance area, and even though there have been some pretty thick clouds in that area, I think it was high enough at least for sheriff's deputies. But the problem that could be for us if we do get back into clouds, even if they're kind of high, is we need to be well above the sheriff's deputy for obvious reasons. We have to give them space to make whatever kind of dynamic maneuvers that they have to safely make. We need to have that space, that ceiling, and if we get kind of compressed because the clouds are low, that could be more of an issue for us, and certainly an issue for the airplane, like I was talking about. So we'll just see how this all plays out. I do see some clouds in front of me, but they look to be on the higher side, up around the 710, as we just continue now well over 100 miles an hour. At least the lights are back on, just making it a little modicum of safety for everyone involved in this, but still very, very dangerous. Westbound on the 91. What is the game plan here? Is it just a big loop around Southern California and then a surrender? Are they trying to communicate with law enforcement? Just a lot of question marks on this. There's been a lot of back and forth if the suspect is armed and dangerous or not. A wanted suspect, we know, but a lot of question marks and weather factors potentially coming up soon.
All righty, Susie Suh and Chauncey Glover, they're going to be back here at 10 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'm Juan Fernandez. This is KCAL News at 9 o'clock, along with Desmond Shaw and Mike Rogers over at the desk. Following this pursuit of somebody wanted for some sort of felony, I'm not exactly sure what, but you can see here traveling right now on the 91 freeway westbound. And whatever he's wanted for, he clearly does not want to stop, going at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. Right now, right in the middle there of the carpool lane, going at a brisk rate of speed and not hitting a lot of traffic. We'll go back up to Desmond Shaw. Des, can you bring us up to date for those viewers just joining us here at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, we've covered a ton of ground here, Juan, at very high speeds. We've been above 100 miles an hour for the majority of the pursuit. Look at this, up to 120.
Yep.
We were at 137, I think, is the fastest that I saw earlier on the 60 freeway, zigging and zagging all over the place, squeezing in between cars. Extremely close calls where could have clipped numerous vehicles. Amazingly hasn't. We've been on the right-hand shoulder in the center divider, in the Gore Point passing lanes, last-second maneuvers all over the place. You saw a CHP unit there. there. Let's see if they're going to be getting involved. It looks like they are. This is the closest that we've seen someone in many miles, because they've had a lot of trouble keeping up with this suspect. This began with LA County Sheriff's deputies in the Torrance area, a known suspect for some sort of felony. There's been a back and forth about whether or not the suspect is armed and dangerous or not. They've kind of been waffling on that point. But we went northbound 110, we were around downtown LA, then we blasted eastbound into the San Gabriel Valley, southbound on the 57, west 91, now kind of headed back towards the 110. So a huge loop around to the area, the kind of general vicinity of where this all began. And as these clouds are starting to drop a little bit, you're going to notice that our shot might look a little farther. And that is because we're all kind of getting compressed down here. And as I was just mentioning, we have to give some space, obviously, to the sheriff's deputies who have been following this one. But there is a very long pursuit, a very fast pursuit, westbound on the 91, now in the Compton area.
And of course, the uncertainty, Desmond, is what officers are concerned about. Is this driver alone? Is there somebody else in the car? Yeah. Is he armed? What's the story here? Again, a suspect wanted or a driver wanted for some sort of felony. Yeah. Mike Rogers over at the desk. What do you got?
Yeah, you know, Juan, there was a passenger in the car at one point in time. Okay. They got out after they dropped him off. And I just want to, point out once again to our viewers, we're seeing Desmond's shot get kind of further and further away. That is because the clouds are getting thicker and thicker. I just want to, SkyCal's down at about 700 feet, which is pretty low for us.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
What's happening there?
Oh, he hit, I think he lost his tire. Not sure if he hit something in the roadway or what. I never heard anything about a spike strip or anything like that. But look at this, all of a sudden,
CHP's right
we
there.
might
Front
be ending this pursuit.
Too.
Yeah, we got a couple of tires out. If it was just from the fast driving or if they hit something, because I never heard about any spike strips, and it would have been a difficult thing for them to do anyway with these speeds.
Whoa.
But we are getting off the freeway. We'll see what the suspect decides to do. That semi unintentionally getting involved. They're going to try to block him in and bring this one to an end, and we might know he's still determined to get away. But you've got the rubber dangling off there. Look at CHP really trying to get aggressive with this one. Yeah, they're looking like they might, but I'm not sure that they're going to do that with no front tire. They typically won't do that if the vehicle is in this bad a shape. But let's see. Kind of looking like they want to off at Avalon in the Compton area. And boy, it's even more dangerous now because now we've got someone who's driving at a high speed in a car that can't take those speeds. It's going to have a lot of trouble controlling this vehicle. Let's see if CHP can somehow bring this to an end here shortly.
Well, we just replayed that video, Desmond, of moments ago when it looked like the car lost a couple of tires, and it almost looked like he may have scraped the side there of the wall, right?
Yeah, no, I played it back even further because I wanted to see if there was a spike. Like Des was talking about, but there really isn't. Before he even hits the wall.
Here we go. Wow. Yes? No?
Wow, they're really going to hit him. Wow.
Little fast on the pit. I think that's why they backed off.
Oh, and those other cars there, too.
Yeah, and you also had a couple. Oh, wow. He tried to clip the bumper there. This guy's got to know CHP means business on this one. So just clip the bumper right there. Tried to spin him around, but couldn't quite do it. And I'd just be very curious to see the physics involved. Look at this, 75 miles an hour, and we're missing tires. We know, I believe we've got 2 bad tires on this one. And if these are, I don't even think these qualify as run flats. I'm not sure, but the one that the rubber had practically separated from the wheel, and yet it continues here through that red light, not slowing down. CHP still sticking with this one, and they look like they want to pit this guy, Mike and Juan. Yeah,
and I played back that video, and his tire looks like it gave out before he hit the wall.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe he hit the wall, and that's what caused the tire to give out, but it looks like his tire gave out before that even happened. So I don't know if he just ran the car too hard and it finally gave up, but here we go. Let's see if they're going to get a pit again here.
The road is nice and clear, so it would be a good opportunity to do it here. And I'm wondering, Mike, maybe he hit some debris there on the side of the road.
That's very possible. It looked kind of like he knew that something was happening and he was getting over to the shoulder, but then the tire gave out. And, you can hear Des, too, we're the further north we go, we're still dealing with cloud layers. As we know, for the further north we get, the more west the clouds come in. So Dylan and Des doing a good job of trying to, get as behind this as we can. But there's that replay one more time on the right side of your screen.
Here it comes.
And he doesn't hit anything. You see the tire start to smoke, and then he kind of bounces off the wall. I have no idea really what caused that that tire to give out like that. But CHP now real eager to try to make that pit maneuver happen. As Des was saying, spark, Des?
You're seeing sparks?
Yeah, we got sparks coming out of the front
Both
passenger
tires.
side. Yeah, I mean, and we were just having problems here. Hawthorne is not clearing us into their airspace right now, and we've got the clouds. It's low IFR, they're calling it. It's just really, really bad news weather conditions for us, unfortunately. We're trying to stick with this one, but there's just so much distance between us and, it looks like they might come in with the pit right there. Oh. It's so close.
They're itching.
They really do want to bring this one to an end. Very, very aggressive tactics, but it was kind of almost inevitable for this suspect. The way they were driving and on the right-hand shoulder, that's where a lot of debris can get piled up, and he hit something. I've talked about that in many pursuits. It's such a gamble when they do that. When you treat the right shoulder like a wide open lane like that, eventually you're going to hit nails or screws or any kind of sharp debris that can mess with your tires, and that's what happened to this suspect. And yet they continue. We've gone miles now as we go underneath the 105 freeway. So now we're into the LAX airspace.
I think we're hitting our bingo card with all the flight restrictions we're hitting, Des.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Dodger TFR, Fog, Hawthorne, and now LAX.
And you're doing a great job, Desmond. We can still see the red and blue flashing lights there, the CHP, and hopefully we're going to be able to see an ending to this. And I have to wonder, do they know more about this driver, especially if that other person got out of the car? Yeah. We know he's wanted for a felony. Do they now know what that felony is? My guess is yes, based on these aggressive tactics, right?
Oh, and I would say by now, yes, based on the aggressive tactics, yes. But I would say by now, this has gone on long enough that, initially when we first brought you this pursuit, the sheriff's department down in Lomita Station just knew that they ran the plate and was wanted for a felony. They were working on what that felony was. They were working on who wanted him, all of those kinds of things. This has gone on long enough that I'm sure that information has been obtained now, which could explain why CHP is chasing this so hard. And unfortunately, the further they get north into the LAX Bravo airspace, plus the mix of clouds, we're starting to lose it here. So Des is going to look at it for as long as he can, but really not our night for airspace issues.
What is IFR? He mentioned IFR.
IFR is instrument flight rules. So Desmond and our pilots, Dylan, fly by what's called VFR, which is visual flight rules, essentially meaning that Dylan has to be able to see the ground beneath him to fly over it.
Correct.
IFR is you can use the aircraft's instruments to fly using instruments instead of being able to see.
I see.
We cannot fly in IFR conditions, which is what a lot of the west side is right now.
I see. And here we are, Desmond, and you're doing a great job there, just keeping this pursuit in shot there. And again, this car going at high rates of speed with 2 damaged tires. Somebody wanted for a felony in CHP in hot pursuit there. And the issue with us right now, as you see as Desmond opens up the shot a little bit, is that we are now close to LAX, which has flight restrictions around it. That's a big problem. And even for CHP and LAPD as well, Mike?
Yeah, so law enforcement right now, we are east of the 110 freeway, which gives law enforcement a little bit more wiggle room. If they were west, I'm just hearing they hit a pedestrian.
Oh, no.
So we'll figure out what the severity of that is, but there's...
That's terrible.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they're just talking about...
Avalon and 84th.
Avalon and 84, you said?
I heard that as well.
Yeah, so they're going to try to get an ambulance out there. This is the second time we've been in this area.
What are you hearing, Mike?
Just listening to some of the radio traffic talking about, they're asking for the fire department to respond for that uninvolved pedestrian that was struck. I was just going to say this is the second time we've been here. So they came up, the first time they came up the 110, and now we're paralleling the 110 to the north on the street that they're on now as they come up. The next major is going to be Florence here.
Yeah.
Things just got a lot more serious with a pedestrian getting hit, and my guess is we're going to see CHP doing the best they can here, not that they haven't already, but to bring this pursuit to an end. Again, a pursuit of someone wanted for some sort of felony. As you see here on the left side of your screen, those are our live pictures from Desmond Shaw and SkyCal. We're still trying to find the location here once again of the pursuit as we are in an area that's restricted. And you can also see it's a little hazier too, a little fuzzier. So due just to the weather conditions out there, we're starting to see that marine layer move in just a little bit. So that creates a problem, as well as the flight restrictions around LAX. Do you see anything there, Mike?
Yeah, real quick. There's been a second crash. So he hit the pedestrian. They're now requesting an ambulance, lights and sirens. Sounds pretty serious. Then there was an additional crash at 84th and Avalon.
Right, that's the
where
pedestrian.
they hit another car.
Not a person, car.
A pedestrian and a car.
Oh
So a
my
pedestrian
gosh.
was first, and then they continued. A pedestrian was at 91st and Avalon. They continued north at 84th and Avalon. CHP officer detaining at gunpoint. He's out of the car, 73rd, and 73rd and Avalon.
73rd and Avalon.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're taking him into custody right now.
And Des, how close are we to possibly getting a visual on that?
We're about a half mile to the east on this one, but we're going to have to wait for that CHP helicopter to leave the area. You see them there circling like a hawk. Once they are out of the area, we'll be able to go in and get a look at the mayhem from the ending of this. But I was just so afraid of it ending like that. You know, an innocent person getting involved with the kind of driving that we saw and continuing to drive like that even after losing tires. Absolutely ridiculous. At least it's over, and they're being taken into custody. But just an extremely unfortunate ending for this pursuit that started in Torrance, went a very long ways, and came to a crashing end here in South LA.
And Juan, you see in Desmond shot, that helicopter is flying back south. That helicopter is now going back to check on the pedestrian that was hit. So that's what that helicopter is doing. The suspect is now in custody. They're checking on
whenever we're able
two
to move
crash scenes. They're also requesting some additional CHP units from different offices to try to get in here to try to help. So
we have multiple crime scenes
well, now we've got three, right? Yeah, we've got where it came to an end, where the guy's in custody. You've got the car crash at 84th and Avalon, where the car hit another car, and then you've got the pedestrian crash at 91st and Avalon. And you know, Juan, here at the desk, we listen to a lot of radio traffic, and I can tell you the urgency in the CHP's officer's voice when they wanted that ambulance at 91st and Avalon has me pretty concerned for the condition of that pedestrian. We know how fast they were going, both on surface streets and the freeway. The urgency in the request for an ambulance on that CHP officer's voice leaves me to be pretty concerned about the condition of this.
And no regard to the people out there tonight. And you can see there on the left side of your screen, Desmond showing us one of those CHP cruisers with lights on there, just going through the area here.
No, it's over, but.
Yeah, and that's actually sheriff.
That's sheriff. Okay.
Yeah, been requested. They've got CHP and sheriff, and now the fire department all trying to get there. Their primary concern has been to try to get to these people that were hit by the suspect.
Gosh, and we're hoping, of course, that the injuries are not severe. But again, when you see someone who's been, driving down the freeway at speeds of over 100 miles an hour. And no regard whatsoever. That is a big concern. All right, we're going to continue monitoring the situation as soon as Desmond Shaw can get closer to these locations where we know we possibly have some injured people and where the suspect was taken into custody. We'll get right back to him. Thanks to Desmond and to Mike Rogers at the desk. All right, back to our breaking news. That dangerous pursuit coming to an end in South LA. Let's go to our Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal. Des.
Well, Juan, this is the very end of the scene. This is the suspect who was injured in all of this. They're now being taken away. Here is the Lexus that they crashed not once but twice. So I'm going to have so this is off of Avalon and 73rd as they get ready to load the suspect into the back of the ambulance here. We're going to fly south and see if we can show you all of the anarchy that happened on Avalon. So that was the very first scene, and then we know we're going to come to a crash site right here where there was an innocent person involved in this crash down in here. So this is going to be Avalon and Manchester where this took place. So as I zoom in here, you see the bumper got knocked clear off of the back of this vehicle right here.
Wow.
Looked to be a pretty violent crash. We saw when we were trying to keep it on the pursuit there early before we ran into the clouds, how that suspect was still continuing to drive so crazy, even though they had lost 2 tires. And you see here an innocent person involved in that. Looked like the back end got taken off completely, and then they continued for just a couple of blocks. We'll see if we can continue even further south. This was the worst that we had heard, where a innocent person had been hit I think it's going to be right down in this area. It was a pedestrian that was crossing the street, and they were hit. So this is Avalon and 90th Street where this all happened. It's unclear if that person has been transported to the hospital yet or what their condition is, but someone hit, and then a car hit, and then a crashing end. All this happening on Avalon within 5 minutes of them losing both of those tires. So pretty crazy night, but that person now in custody. Juan, back to you now in the studio.
So much damage covering so much of an area there in South LA. All right, Desmond, thank you very much.